Another episode of The Snack, the mostly superheroes bite-sized episode where we feature one thing. And today is Star Wars Town. That's right, a new trailer just dropped about Jedi, something we've been looking forward to for a long time, been on the slate for Star Wars and Disney forever. Finally, The Acolyte coming in June 2024. We got the trailer here in March 2024. We got one of our resident Star Wars hosts on the podcast today, Danny Patron. I want your reaction and your thoughts. Tell us what you saw. What can we expect from the show The Acolyte?
So, trailer just dropped, and this is a Jedi show, right? Um, Jedi and Sith potentially. We're not sure if that's what they'll be, but the idea is that the Acolyte, the implication has been that it's about like a evil or dark side kind of wielder, and it takes place in an era called the High Republic, which is something that was developed when they kind of reset the timeline. They've been doing books and comics and all kinds of stuff in that space of the High Republic, and not a lot is known about this time from a cinematic standpoint. We haven't had any TV shows or movies, so this will be the first kind of visual media that we get. And it says that it takes place as shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers appear in the final days of the High Republic. So, like I said, not a lot is known. So it kind of sounds like this is going to lead into how the era of the High Republic, which is when the Jedi, were really strong, kind of like what we saw in episode, 1, 2, and then the fall of 3. Another like high Jedi power area. As far as the trailer goes, it looks really cool. I'm very interested because it steps away from everything we know, so we can tell an enclosed story. Um, as far as the cast goes, as I've reviewed it, there's really one person that stands out, and that's Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity from The Matrix. She's really the only person as I watch this, and I'm like, oh, cool, she's in it. Everybody else appears to be, at least from what I've seen people in, either newer or less known folks, which is always fun when you go into something like this because you don't have preconceived notions of who the human or what other characters they are. You get kind of their own. Everybody's kind of their character. So excited about that. Looks cool. Not a lot's known. I haven't heard much. I kind of want to go into this one a little dark, but excited. Comes out. I think it's June 2nd is the premiere date on this one.
Fair share, man. Thank you for the help with that. The Acolyte, yeah, that was the big reveal for me for sure. Watching this, I don't mind getting into specifics on the trailer because it is the teaser for the series, and for something like this, that's a complete unknown. I think it's incredibly helpful. I mean, you get young Jedi,
younglings,
yeah, younglings,
living younglings,
yeah. Dan hated that. So did Darth.
The Darth Vader.
Yep, all those young kids and all those young Jedi, but that was pretty cool. And hearing Carrie Moss, she's a character I think in my mind that could be an epic good guy or an epic bad guy or like an epic anti-hero.
Yeah,
so I think she'll play like
gray Jedi.
Absolutely. Some of those other cast members you mentioned, for those that are keeping track: Amanda Stenberg, Daphne Keene, Jodie Turner-Smith, Junice Suetamo, Amy Sang, Carrie-Anne Moss, we already said, Margarita Laviva, a huge cast, a lot of characters. I mean, at one point you get like 8 Jedi on screen, and I mean, I really did get like kind of the chills because the Acolyte to me as a lifelong movie Star Wars fan, the show to me, the Acolyte, was like the beginning of the Sith, and that's what this trailer was to me. The Jedi saying we're being killed, and that's new. We can't believe it. And like the big reveal of a red saber just like flying through the woods, and just seeing like, but up against like 8 Jedi. And like, I have a feeling that fight's not going to go the way that they think it's going to go. So Jedi have always been probably the most favorite part for me personally of the Star Wars universe. So dude, June, the countdown is on for me. The Acolyte, cannot wait. Giggler, I see you nodding. What you got?
Oh man, I'm ready. This trailer looked pretty cool. It's a lot of mystery to me. I agree. Like Dan just filled in so many blanks that I needed. So thank you, Dan, for getting me even more pumped for this next piece of the Star Wars lore.
Sammy,
I am so far behind
on Star Wars.
I actually I'm tasking you all to help me. Where do I start?
I will
That's
text
it.
you every day.
You know what?
Star
Yeah.
Wars facts.
This, this is a great segue because Mostly Superheroes is here to help you.
I need help.
We have something that we've been planning for a couple months, and we have some things in the works for this particular episode. But this is, definitely like a sneak peek. We'll be right back. Introducing Steve's Meltdown, now available at the City Foundry, St. Louis. Brought to you by the team behind Steve's Hot Dogs and the Fountain on Locust. Two concepts that know how to do comfort food right. This is your new go-to spot for elevated grilled cheese sandwiches. Every sandwich is made with fresh-baked bread, high-quality cheeses, and flavor combinations that'll melt your heart. Steve's Meltdown menu is epic. Plus, they are a great spot for kid-friendly fare and vegan options for folks visiting City Foundry. Featuring menu items like Sweet Caroline, Forever Young Adult, War Figs, That's Amore, and Sweet Dreams are made of cheese. You can't miss them when you visit City Foundry. Bright red with bright yellow melting cheese pouring down the front of their store. Join Steve's Meltdown at their brand new location at the City Foundry, or order for delivery at www.stevesmeltdown.com. Find them at 3037 Foundry Way in St. Louis, and be sure to tell them that Mostly Superheroes sent you. Visit Steve's Meltdown online at www.stevesmeltdown.com to explore the full menu and place your order. You can also find Steve's Meltdown on DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your favorite food delivery app. Whether you're craving comfort or culinary creativity, Steve's Meltdown delivers. Hey there, squad. Logan here from Mostly Superheroes. When we're not on the airwaves exploring the multiverse with Scotty Scoop and the Giggler, we are browsing the shelves at Apotheosis Comics and Lounge here in St. Louis. It's not just a comic book shop, it's a community hub where stories come alive. Every Wednesday, join owner Martin Casas and fellow fans for the latest pulls. Get your hands on the newest issues and maybe snag a hidden gem or two. It's not just about the comics either. Apotheosis hosts comedy shows, artist learning sessions, game nights, and an epic bar where you can enjoy a cold one with new and old friends alike. Looking for more? Dive into discussions at their comic book club or attend one of their many events celebrating the love of comics, comedy, community, and more. It's the perfect place to unwind, debate your favorite heroes and villains, learn something new, and discover epic and local adventures alike. Find your next favorite read or hidden gem at 3206 South Grand Boulevard in St. Louis, Missouri, and check out www.shopapotheosis.com. Check out Apotheosis Comics and Lounge and make sure you tell them that Mostly Superheroes sent you, because every superhero needs a lair. All right, back to the show. Talking about the Acolyte, talking about how far back in the past that this goes. Timeline-wise, we were talking about where does this fall? Well, hell, I've been thinking, where does everything fall? And I got a book right here, Star Wars Timeline, and I'm gonna be reading this thing and bringing the knowledge back here, paired with Danny Patron. I got to team up with you on this, and we might bring in other Star Wars folks. I want to do a Star Wars Timeline episode where we just break open the timeline and we kind of do this maybe 2 minutes per title, where it's a quick kind of round table where you don't really have a lot of time. You just have the list of the titles in front of you. We'll tell you what's going on, who's in it, the order they go in. We won't spoil really, what we can, but it's kind of hard, right? You're going through the whole timeline. You might have to come
these
prepared.
are movies that have all been out.
They've been out.
The shows have been out. The movies have been out.
You know what we'll do for you, though? We'll do a spoiler-free list so you can know the order to watch these things perfectly. And then we'll do a spoiler deep dive of each story. Like I said, 2 minutes each. What do you guys think?
Shallow dive.
As a listener, I would be in. That's the help I need. I'm overwhelmed at the moment. I feel behind.
Danny, talk to me. I got a Star Wars timeline pulled up on the screen right now. The format, I think we can get it to where we do an hour tight episode where it's just Star Wars Central, and we can just catch everybody up once and for all. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely down. I think there'll be a couple of asterisks in here when you hit some of these TV shows like the Clone Wars, because Like if you went in order, you'd be doing just fine. Episode 1, episode 2, you're about 4 hours in. Then you hit Clone Wars and see in 3 months, because there's like 12 seasons or something. And so I think it's like, hey, what do you want to get out of this? And what's like the parallel path, and then what's the like, I want to know Star Wars and I want to know everything, and we can kind of talk through what fits into each bucket too.
Yeah, and like, I don't want to become like the boring mainstream. I'm going to piss off some Star Wars fans no matter what I do. But I can tell you that Carrie loves a lot of the animated stuff, and she's not a deep cut nerd, even though the more and more I'm getting to know her.
Seems like she might be.
She might. This is why we're together, right? This is why it's worked out. But she picked up on the Bad Batch, like kind of like without needing hardly anything, and she's just like, I'm into this show. So I want to bring to it like, hey, here's the timeline no matter what. Like, we'll mention everything. Like I want to try to make sure we don't leave out hardly any mediums.
I was going to say,
and we can
missing
specify
a few up there too.
Yeah, and this is just like the first the grab from Google Images. It was like just to get the conversation started.
It has the ride Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, that. I mean,
the
I've
ride.
done it.
Yes, the ride.
Where
It's
does
part
that
of
fit
it.
in
It's
the
part of the
timeline?
canon. I mean, I guess there's a story to it, so they're considering it part of.
After you watch The Last Jedi, you have to go to Orlando or to California and go
Ride
to
the
the theme
ride.
park,
Yep.
go on all the rides. Well, the Galaxy's Edge is actually the area, right? So that's what they call like where all the Star Wars stuff is. So I guess in this
Oh, yeah.
timeline, you would
It
need to
kinda
go on
covers,
every ride, which probably means a 3-day pass while you stand in line to go on all those, because the lines are insane.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Watch every movie on this timeline then. Those
Well,
lines.
well, that's what I want to like. I don't want to scare anybody off. What can you expect from this episode? It'll be we'll mention all the stuff, but we'll specify like, here are the movies. Here are the TV shows. Like, here's the ones that we've seen that we think that would fit well with the movies, and I wouldn't mind mentioning the animated series, even some novels. Like I don't know what all, I don't even know what all mediums are out there.
None of the novels are canon now, right, Dan?
So that's
none of the
there's a couple.
old,
There's a couple of like
ones. If it's-
prequel to like Force Awakens and stuff like that would be canon. But
I just wonder what's in this
Yeah.
book, this timeline book. Like I'm gonna read it.
As a
Well,
listener,
page 1.
we're recording tomorrow, so
there you go.
No,
better-
all right. So
you better
hey, well,
read
this episode right now, is really about the Acolyte, and now we're tying in this tease of the Star Wars episode. I do want to release it around May the 4th.
okay.
So we got to record in April.
But why?
Good.
Joking, I get it.
Yeah, come on.
I was
why?
waiting. I was like, surely.
But why?
Surely you
I
can't
thought-
be
It's a big
serious.
weekend here in St. Louis.
The day before Cinco de Mayo?
Yep,
What?
and
Free comic book
free
day.
comic book day. And I want to team up with maybe Martin at Apotheosis Comics again. Steve's Hot Dogs here in town. They're huge Star Wars. Steve's a Star Wars guy. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. More Star Wars on the way. Dan, you're welcome, buddy. I know that's what you
Yeah.
wanted.
Absolutely.
It's overdue.
You know what I would value too, and I don't even know if you would put this in there, but what I don't need to see.
Yeah,
What could you skip?
yeah.
it-
Like in the animated stuff, like it might become like, here's the top 10 episodes to watch, just like we
Yeah.
talked about with X-Men.
Or like, what do I just YouTube? What's a YouTube synopsis? What's so bad
Yeah. Here's
that
a
like you need
that's
to
the
know some
thing,
plot
like,
points?
here's a 30-minute looper
Is there
video
anything
of
bad?
I don't know. That's why I
Yes.
if there is something, I'd like to know.
I mean, there's like a little kid. There's a young Jedi's, which is like a
Yeah.
little kid. It's a children, like a almost toddler show. That Star Wars Resistance is very young. I watched one episode and was like, I can't do this, and it doesn't really connect, at least from what I read. Because I watched one episode and was like, man, this is tough. This feels like a Disney Channel show targeted to like 8 to 12-year-olds, and their humor and the acting, that sort of stuff. So,
Right
Well,
up my alley.
It's
but,
it was
but
a
then
say.
there's a bunch of layers, like on the Clone Wars. Like I gave the advice to my cousin one time when he's like, hey, I want to watch this. I go, if it's about the droids or it's about Padme, you can skip that episode. I'm like, if they're the main characters, I'm like, you'll be able to see in the picture because they'll highlight them. It'll even say a little synopsis. I'm like, you just skip those.
The
Those are kind of
writers-
filler.
The
It's a lot of
writers,
filler stuff.
the Clone Wars writers are going to come to your house and kill you in your sleep.
Well, the last 2 episodes of the Clone Wars are honestly, if they were a numbered movie, would probably be in my top third.
Wow, that's a huge
yeah,
testimony.
yeah.
Well, this is what I want to promise then to our fans like Sam that'll be tuning into this Star Wars episode. We'll bring the good, bad, and the ugly. We're just going to tell you all about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Star Wars timeline coming up. It's perfectly timed with the Acolyte, Star Wars Jedi show going back to the beginning of the Star Wars timeline, premiering here in June 2024. Watch for our reviews of that when the show comes out, and watch for our Star Wars timeline episode around May the 4th. Cannot wait, and may the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Mostly Superheroes is proud to be funded in part by our sponsors. Mostly Superheroes is funded in part by paying patrons who receive early, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Subscribe at mostlysuperheroes.com/support. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcast. Mostly Superheroes is an independent podcast owned and operated by Carrogan Ventures in St. Louis, Missouri. Hosted by Logan Janis, Andy Hunn, and Scott Swearingen. Brand and creative by Carrie Clark Design. Music by Audionautics. Learn more at audionautics.com. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com.